Mr. Archie Manning.
Thank you, Wally. Thank you very much. And I think I'm qualified. I've lived here 40 years. I also would like to welcome you to New Orleans. When I speak to a group here, I often tell them, I don't know what you've been doing here. I don't know what you're going to be doing for the next few days and few nights. Whatever that is, that's what we do every day. And I can just kind of look at this group as I was coming in and some of us. I think this group is really going to enjoy New Orleans. Just show a hand. How many people this is their first time to visit New Orleans? Hey, Wally, we don't have to get a curfew. No, it's really a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Pleasure to be here, my friends from nursing. To speak at a conference is a leading event for collegiate, recreational, sports professionals, students, and vendors. We're really glad to have you. And I thought Scott Cowens, that was a wonderful welcome. I'm going to talk a little later about leadership. Scott Cowens is one of the great leaders we have in this city, and I really thought at our time of Hurricane Katrina, we were lacking for leadership here in some areas. And he stepped forward. He was a great leader and a great man, a big part of New Orleans. Wally, I really appreciate the kind introduction. My intro's kind of gotten brief in recent years. I pretty much go by Peyton and Eli's daddy. So I don't have a problem with that. Actually, I brought along something. I brought a letter with me. I grew up in a small town in Mississippi, 2,000 people, real small. And I was probably like a lot of you. I was a kid. I wanted to grow up and play ball. I wanted to be a ball player. So I feel really blessed and fortunate. I got to live that dream. I got to tell you, there's a lot of things that go with the territory, being a professional athlete or being an NFL quarterback, that you don't envision when you're 10 or 12 years old, just want to grow up and play ball. One of the things that you'd never envision would be the mail that you get. And we call it fan mail. But then on the football team, quarterbacks get more fan mail than anyone else. But I got to tell you, it's pretty neat stuff because most of it is from the little guys. And so I used to have a lady, I'd kind of keep up with it. I had a lady that helped me with it, and I would try to respond. But I'd also maybe keep some of the cute things that were said from these young people and maybe share them at a time like this. Now, I don't get that mail anymore, but for some reason, a lot of my two sons that play in the NFL, a lot of Peyton and Eli's fan mail comes to my office here in New Orleans. So I sort through it, I send it on up to Indianapolis and New York, and I let them take care of it. So I was doing that a while back, and you can always tell the letter is from one of the little guys by his handwriting on the envelope. So I'm going through some mail. The handwriting on the envelope looked like maybe 4th or 5th grader, but it was addressed to me. So I brought it along with me. A young man was from Memphis, Tennessee. The letter went something like this. It said, "Dear Mr. Manning, everyone in my class thinks your sons, Peyton and Eli, are so great. Well, I did a school report on you, and you were pretty good." Now, this is where I knew he had done his research. He said, "You played on really lousy teams and still made All-Pro." And he concluded by saying, "And I think you were definitely a better player than Peyton and Eli, and I enjoyed doing my school report on you, your friend Todd." And so I said, this is really a cute letter. And first thing I'm going to do is make a copy, shoot it on up to Peyton and Eli. But then I said, I got to find a picture or something. I got to send this youngster something. It read on that little P.S. there. P.S. Mr. Manning, could you possibly get me Peyton and Eli's autograph? So I was humbled a little bit there. It seems at my age I get humbled a lot. I'll tell you another example. I'm going up to Oxford, Mississippi this weekend, where Ole Miss is, where I went to college. And Eli went there, and they still, Eli and his wife Abby went to Ole Miss. He plays in the New York area, but they built their home in Oxford. So, and I still try to go to some ball games, get up there for various and sundry things. And I played up there 100 years ago, but they still really treat me good. I mean, they retired my number up there. And a few years ago, they were having a problem with the speed limit should be on campus, and they made it 18 miles an hour, which was my number when I was there. They really make a big deal out of me up there still. And so anyway, Eli and Abby built their home, and Lydia and I decided we'd go up and see their home. So we go up to Oxford. And it's in kind of a cul-de-sac. There's mostly some new homes there, and there's this latest one. There's a lot of kids in the neighborhood. Well, Eli was ready for him, put his driveway. He's got a basketball goal. I looked at his drive. He's got balls and bats and footballs and basketball and everything. He's ready. And sure enough, Abby said, didn't disappoint. Every afternoon about 4 o'clock, they come and knock on her door and ask her, can Eli come out and play? So while I'm there, the doorbell rings, and I go to the door. And there's a little boy there, 6, 7 years old. He's got his football under his arm. So I invite him in, and I was told when he got back home, his dad said, did Eli sign your football? He said, yes, sir. He signed it, and then he handed it to some old man, and he signed it. So I was definitely humbled again right there. Public speaking can be a pretty humbling thing. I can assure you that. I do a lot of speaking, a lot of corporate things around the country and so forth. But I was speaking not long ago here in New Orleans to a civic club, one of the corporate things, civic club. A lot of good friends of mine there. At the end of the event, a long-time friend comes up, Archie, will you come over and talk to our scouts? I said, Al, I appreciate the invitation, kind of busy, hectic time. And yeah, I'll try to do it for you. He said, good. How much you gonna charge? I said, Al, doggone it. You're one of my best friends. Certainly, I'm not gonna charge you anything to come over and talk to your scouts. He said, great, we'll just save that money and get us a better speaker next year. In all seriousness, I want to thank you for your work. I'm told that Nurse's nearly 4,000 members are represented on more than 700 campuses and universities, as well as U.S. military installations, public park and recreation departments, correctional facilities, not-for-profit organizations, and private enterprises. And thanks to you, nearly 11 million college students use recreational facilities operated by Nurse's members. That's good news for our country, because physical fitness, teamwork, community service is needed more than ever in our country. So I want to encourage you to continue your mission, your campuses, and your country need you. Also, maybe just a little piece of advice from an old beat-up football player. Make sure that in everything you do, that you're not just doing your job, that you're being a leader. In my experience as a player, as a businessman, as a father, the only thing that will sustain you during challenges is teamwork and leadership. And in my mind, the single most important lesson for any quarterback or any business is leadership. That's why you're here today. Leadership is what wins games and makes a difference. In life, every team and every business, there comes a defining moment, a moment that tests who you are, where you're going, what you're about. As a football player, I experienced more of those moments than I care to remember. Injuries, losing streaks, interceptions. After all, I did play for the old New Orleans Saints. But you know, I learned something about those setbacks. Today's challenges are tomorrow's triumph. And challenges develop strength and character and perspective. And as someone once said, only those who have been in the valley can appreciate the view from the mountain. A few years ago, Dun & Bradstreet did a most interesting survey. They studied the history of the free enterprise system in our country over the past couple of hundred years. As you can imagine, there are tons of statistics that came from this survey. I don't want to bore you with a lot of statistics. Most of them involve success or failure of business units. I would like to point out just a couple of things that Dun & Bradstreet discovered. D&B discovered that the average life of a business in the United States is 7 years. D&B discovered that 2 out of 3 new businesses will close in 5 years. But I found more interesting that what happened to these companies is why it happened. The survey found that 92% of all business failures occurred not because they had a bad product. 92% of all business failures occurred not because they had a bad location. And not because it was a tough economic time like we've had in America the last couple of years. No, Dun & Bradstreet discovered that 92% of all business failures in the history of our free enterprise system occurred because of bad management. And we hear a lot about bad corporate management in the news today, but we hear less about the most important management, and that's personal management. Today, as we look around us, we see an economy struggling, we see high unemployment, we see many businesses, especially a lot of small businesses, still absolutely fighting for their lives. But I want you to know something. There's almost nothing you can do about any of this. So even if you can't control what's going on in the world, you can control what's going on in your world. And you can become a better person, a better employee, employer, and a better leader. Leadership's an issue that confronts everyone in this room and everyone in our country. As a matter of fact, a recent Harvard University poll found that 80% of Americans believe we have a leadership crisis in our country. A long, long time ago, when I began playing the quarterback position, I had to learn to be a leader. I had to lead 10 other people out of that huddle. I had to read the defense, sometimes I had to change the play, the line of scrimmage. I always felt it was always my duty to bring our team back when we fell behind. So I gotta tell you, all these challenges were tough, but none were too tough that they couldn't be overcome with some leadership. So for the next few minutes, I'd like to go over some ideas for personal success. Because folks, I think it really does just come down to one word. That's